Good evening, everyone. I'm Don Drummer, and I represent the state of Maryland on the Board of Directors. I'm joined, as a matter of fact, I don't have any fellow board members here today. Also with me this evening is Metro's Chief Financial Officer, Yetunde Olumide, and Jennifer Ellison, the board's Corporate Secretary. Welcome to this public hearing on Metro's proposed fiscal year 2026 budget and capital improvement plan. This year's hearing is convened by the Metro Board of Directors to gather public comments on two dockets. Docket B25-01, Metro's proposed FY2026 capital improvement program and federal fiscal year 2026 grant applications. And docket B2502, Metro's proposed fiscal year 26 operating budget and associated service proposals. Notice of this hearing was made by publication in the Washington Post, and ads were also placed in El Tiempo Latino, the Washington China News, the Korea Times, the Washington Afro, the Washington Informer, Atrif, and Dine. Information was also provided in social media, via social media and the Transit app. Notice was also made online and was sent to all jurisdictions within the Metro Compact area and to area libraries. Signs were also placed in rail stations, on buses, and Metro Access vehicles. And Metro Access ambassadors were also provided this information in person. We're looking forward to hearing from everyone who's joined us this evening to provide testimony. Before we take testimony, we have a brief presentation from Ms. Olumide that provides details on the budget proposal along with proposed changes in service. Ms. Olumide.
Thank you, Director Drummer. Good evening to you and good evening to members of the public. My name is Yetunde Olumide. I'm the Chief Financial Officer and Executive Vice President here at the Washington Metro. Welcome to our public hearing. I'll briefly walk through key highlights of the WMATA FY26 proposed budget. A complete copy of the FY26 proposed budget is available online at wmata.com. The agenda for tonight will begin with the purpose of this public hearing, followed by an overview of the FY26 proposed budget. We will then provide an opportunity for public comments and conclude with an outline of next steps in the budget process. Our FY26 proposed budget aligns with WMATA's commitment to good financial stewardship, which supports our strategic transformation plan, objectives of service excellence, talented teams, regional opportunity and partnership, and sustainability. The proposed budget demonstrates Metro's unwavering commitment to financial stability, service reliability, and continuity. Metro is fundamental to this region's success, providing substantial economic and environmental benefits to the region. In December of 2024, we presented the GMCEO FY26 proposed operating and capital budgets to Metro's Board of Directors. The $5 billion proposed budget includes an operating budget totaling $2.6 billion and a capital budget of $2.4 billion. This budget highlights the continued focus on operational efficiencies, service enhancements, and future planning, including a new better bus network and metro rail automation to meet growing demand. This budget also maintains FY25 fare levels. Through these efforts, Metro aims to provide high-quality, sustainable public transportation to support the region's current and future needs. Metro's FY26 operating budget of almost $2.6 billion includes operating expenses of $2.5 billion, as well as $72 million in debt service and $14 million in reimbursable projects. This budget is funded by $545 million of passenger and non-passenger revenues and $1.9 billion of jurisdictional subsidies. In addition, Metro has $28 million in prior year savings to apply to the FY26 budget. Metro's FY26 proposed capital budget of $2.4 billion includes capital programs and projects totaling $2.1 billion, as well as $253 million in debt service and an estimated $10 million in revenue loss related to capital projects. The capital budget is funded through federal and state sources, as well as $772 million in debt. Ridership growth has remained strong through the second half of FY24. Total ridership for FY24 was about 21% higher than that of FY23. This growth has continued into FY25, with ridership exceeding budget for the first quarter of FY25. Based on this strength, we have revised our ridership estimates for FY25 and beyond. The FY26 proposed budget projects to end FY25 with ridership levels of 255 million trips, above our original FY25 budgeted estimate for ridership of about 227 million trips. As such, the FY26 proposed budget is built on a projection of about 268 million trips. The key drivers of the FY26 proposed budget are ridership, inflation, and funding. The strength in ridership growth over recent months has allowed us to increase our ridership estimates. Metro ended FY24 above budgeted estimates with 242 million riders. While ridership growth remains tied to office telework policies, FY25 ridership to date continues to trend above budget. As telework patterns continue to change, Metro will closely monitor these impacts on ridership projections. We continue to monitor inflation and predict a 3% rise in costs in FY26 based on economic assumptions. Though the impacts of historically high inflation from recent years have increased baseline expenses, the new collective bargaining agreement with our local 689 union will minimize the impact from future inflationary spikes. Another change in the FY26 proposed budget is the absence of federal relief funding. To help transit agencies continue to provide safe and reliable service through the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent recovery, the federal government provided relief funding to alleviate the strain on transit operating budgets caused by declines in ridership. Metro will have spent all federal relief funding during FY25, and so the FY26 proposed budget does not include federal relief funding like in prior years. I'll now talk about the operating budget summary. We start off looking at the sources and uses. So Metro's FY26 proposed operating budget is funded through $444 million in passenger revenues, $101 million in non-passenger revenues, and $1.9 billion in jurisdictional subsidy payments. In addition, Metro has the $28 million in prior year savings to apply to the FY26 budget. Passenger revenue is budgeted at a 14.7% increase relative to FY25 approved budget, which is driven by the strong ridership growth. The operating budget funds service provided by Metro Rail, Metro Bus, and Metro Access. This budget focuses on optimizing service within available resources through rail optimization, targeted service enhancements, and the implementation of year one of the Better Bus network redesign. This slide summarizes revenue, expenses, and subsidy for the FY26 proposed operating budget and our FY27 forecast to support planning purposes. For the FY26 proposed budget, operating revenue, to include passenger revenue, parking revenue, and other revenue streams, is about 11.8% higher than the FY25 budget. In addition to its operating revenue, the FY26 budget applies the $28 million previously described, as well as the combined jurisdictional subsidy. The FY27 forecast presented here is a snapshot of operating revenue, expenses, and subsidy to support planning purposes and is based on projected ridership, revenue, economic assumptions, and funding. The FY26 subsidy from Metro's jurisdictional partners is about $1.9 billion. This increase includes $52 million from the annual 3% subsidy growth, $95 million in one-time savings replacement, and $24 million from jurisdictionally sponsored bus enhancements. Metro is optimizing service within available funding for FY26, while keeping fares at the current levels and introducing a new tap-to-ride contactless payment option for mobile devices. This new option will allow riders to pay with personal debit and credit cards or by mobile phones. Service enhancements in the FY26 proposed budget include implementation of Year 1 of the Better Bus network and 11 more routes in the frequent service network. To address growing demand on Metro Rail, the FY26 budget includes targeted changes to service patterns and frequency. The FY26 proposed budget also expands weekend hours of operation on Metro Rail by opening at 6 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday mornings and closing at 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday to support regional travel needs. The FY26 proposed budget also provides additional peak capacity to key bottlenecks for Metro Rail service and improves access to destinations to drive further ridership growth. Now on the capital budget. Metro's FY26 to 31 capital improvement plan of about $12.5 billion will fund almost $10.5 billion in capital investments across 6 categories. It will also fund over $2 billion in debt service payments. As this FY26 proposed budget indicates, Metro is looking toward the future with strong ridership and customer-centered service enhancements. As part of its FY26 6-year CIP, Metro has several major investments underway to advance asset management and serve the region's growing transit needs. We're really excited about our recent accomplishments and look forward to serving our customers and the region in the next year. Written comments must be received by 5 p.m. on Monday, February 10th, 2025. You can submit comments either online at wamata.com/budget or by mail to the WMATA office of the Secretary. Please be sure to reference the FY26 budget in the subject line. Thank you for your time and for attending this public hearing.
Thank you, Yatende. I just shared with her earlier how much we appreciate how clear her presentations are with a lot of complex information. Thank you very much. Before we call witnesses, I'd like to explain the testimony process this evening. We'll begin with speakers who have registered in advance. please come to the podium and the microphone when I call upon you to speak. If you need a microphone brought to you, please raise your hand when I call your name and someone will come to you. When I call upon speakers, I'll also note the next two in the queue so that you can be prepared to come forward. If you haven't yet registered and want to speak, please see staff outside at the registration table. And if you've registered in advance, please make sure to check in at the registration table to let them know you're here. This hearing is also being broadcast online at www.wamata.com/budget, and the video will be archived on the Metro Forward YouTube channel if you'd like to watch later. For the public record to accurately reflect who's providing testimony, I'd ask that you please state your name and any organization you represent before beginning your testimony. Since this hearing is being recorded and will be available on YouTube, please do not provide any personal information like address, phone number, or email in your testimony. Elected public officials will be allowed 5 minutes and everyone else will be allowed 3 minutes. You'll hear a beep when you have 15 seconds remaining, and that's your cue to sum up any remaining testimony. Extra time will be given for translation if needed. We ask that you stay within your time limit because we want to make sure that everyone who wants to speak has a chance to be heard. I also want to note that each speaker is only able to speak once at each hearing. Finally, I want to take a moment to recognize that this is where we listen to you. If this is your opportunity to comment on the proposals, and we are here to listen. We will not be able to answer questions during your testimony, but Metro staff is available outside to answer questions. Detailed information is also available online at wamata.com/budget. Your comments will become part of the public record that will be reviewed by the Metro Board of Directors. We also have members of the board's two advisory bodies here this evening, the Accessibility Advisory Committee, known as the AAC, and the Riders Advisory Council, known as the RAC, the RAC, who will be listening to your testimony to help inform their recommendations on this budget. Changes to the options presented here tonight may be proposed in response to testimony received and subsequent staff analysis. So now it's time to call the first witness. And as a reminder, please tell us your name, any organization you represent before you start speaking. And our first speaker is Mr. Bill Orleans.
Good evening, Bill Orleans. Mr. Drummer, let me stipulate that you're a nice person, and all senior and junior Metro staff here are nice folks as well. But you cannot persuade me that you're really here to listen to me, nor to listen to any of the folks who spoke last night or on Monday night. What the board has deemed appropriate will proceed, regardless of what I or others will say. That said, I was listening last night as I left the Metro building to the testimonies, and I don't share any of the laudatory comments made of Metro board and management last night. I do associate myself somewhat with the comments of Doris Ray, specifically with regard to the 3/4 of a mile requirement that Metro, federal requirement that Metro provide paratransit service. That's a requirement that you must meet. There's no requirement that if Metro wanted to, it could not exceed that requirement. And this is a point that's been made for years. Metro traditionally just chooses not to exceed the required level of service. Where there is no fixed route service, you're not going to be providing paratransit service, and that, I believe, is a mistake. This is equity focused. One of the elements of this proposal is equity focused. I'd like to suggest, and Mr. Drummer well knows this, I've been whining for years, and since the Metro meetings have been publicly accessible again, specifically, I've been whining to Metro board that there are no up-to-date trifolds or fourfolds Metro bus timetables, schedules, and there should be. Not everybody who rides Metro is digitally inclined. Some of us are still analog folks and require a up-to-date, accurate trifold or fourfold Metro bus timetable. I'm going to continue to whine about that, although I may never see it again, but it's a mistake that's being made. How much more time do I have? A minute? How much more time do I have? A minute?
It's right in front of you, Bill.
Huh? Oh, there we go. The Better Bus Initiative is, as I understand it, only going to be implemented as much as resources allow. And I don't know in this budget, and you're not going to answer the question, if this budget is adopted by Metro Board next month, or in April, March, that resources are going to be allowed for any so-called improvements in the Better Bus Initiative. That's something that should be known before you actually adopt the budget, whether you're going to have the resources to do it. Lastly, in my remaining time, what was I going to say? Well, I believe that nothing ultimately will be done to make Metro the system it should be until such time as the compact is amended. I would like to see the board directly elected, since I don't respect the appointing authorities. Some of the folks appointed to them, what the 3 state legislatures will provide Metro in crucial budget times in the future. And I've exceeded my time. I apologize. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Orland.
No other speakers signed up.
Okay, I'm told that no one else has signed up to speak. Is there anyone else present that wants to speak and hasn't already done so? Please identify yourself and come to the podium.
Is there anybody in the room that's not Metro staff besides myself? I would choose for that person gone.
So it appears that is our last speaker and only speaker. And that means this hearing is now concluded, but I have a number of remarks to make before we close. You're welcome to submit additional testimony. It must be received by 5 p.m. on Monday, February 10th. Testimony can be submitted online at wmata.com/budget. Online, you have the option to complete a survey, write fee-form comments, and/or upload a letter, petition, or document. You can also mail testimony to the Office of the Secretary, WMATA, SECT 2E, P.O. Box 44390, Washington, D.C. 20026 4390. Again, all testimony must be received by 5 p.m. on February 10th. We encourage everyone to submit comments online if possible. Thank you again for joining us and for taking time to provide testimony. Have a good evening. This hearing is closed.